I'm Laura Daniel, and welcome to Laura Loves New York, and I have a special guest with me, Deborah Unger. And hey, superstar! Deb has been seen on Kevin Can Wait, and she's especially known as Olga, the Penguin's maid on Gotham. And you can catch her in an upcoming episode of Orange is the New Black. We are going to have a blast. We're going to learn all about Deb. We're going to learn about more of New York and history. Let's go!
We are at the southern entrance of Fort Tryon Park, really one of the most beautiful parks, I think, in New York.
Fort Tryon Park is at the northern tip of Manhattan. It does not take long to get up here.
No, because the A train goes express from 59th to 125th, which you just found out.
Yeah, I left on 34th and I got up here in like a half hour.
Boom.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And the park is gorgeous. And that's thanks to Bette Midler and her New York restoration project, which she founded in 1995. You can find out more about that at nyrp.org. God bless Bette.
Yes, God bless Bette. God bless Bette. This is one of the parks that she first supported. It had been replanted in weird ways, like on the rock face on the other side of the Heather Garden, there was actually cactus. Wow. Not native to New York, but there was. Wow. So they went back to Frederick Olmsted's original garden plan and have reconfigured all the gardens so they are planted with the plants that were original when this park was laid out and configured.
And the result is stunning. There are over 500 varieties of plants, trees, and shrubs, and that's thanks to garden designers Lyndon B. Miller and Rhonda M. Brands. I especially fell in love with the rose bushes. I have not smelled roses this sweet in a long time.
Yeah, this kind of rose with all these layers, this is a Floribunda variety because it's very bunda with layers.
Deb and I took a stroll through Heather Garden, and then we made our way to Fort Tryon.
And they preserved the foundation. So this was one of the foundations of a fort, actually, that General Washington fought off. Well, they lost the British here. They lost the British.
Wow.
And there's another fort foundation about 7 or 8 blocks south of this as well. So this really was, a battleground area. And the circle at the bottom of the park, where you came out of the subway and then it was like a big circle, that's called Margaret Corbin Circle, named after Margaret Corbin, who was the wife of a Revolutionary soldier.
And her story was quite fascinating. Margaret Corbin joined her husband at Fort Tryon in 1776, and when he was killed at his cannon, she took over and fired on the British. The soldiers called her Captain Molly, and she was awarded the first military pension for a woman back in 1776. There's a plaque to her on the east side of the park.
One of the coolest places in this park, because you can just come here and chill and get yourself together. And I'm telling you this here because a lot of people get really cranky when you come up and go chitty chatty chit on the benches.
For having once been a battleground, Fort Tryon Park is remarkably peaceful, and you can tell that people come up here to just listen to the birds and look at the Hudson River. After a brief respite, Deb and I headed down to the Cloisters.
You should know this as a New Yorker. Manhattan is made of schist. Schist is a type of stone, and you have to say it very carefully. Schist. So, S-C-H-I-T-S or Z, I don't know. It is a very hard stone, that's why we haven't sung.
That's the schist.
The Cloisters Museum was developed because there were a whole bunch of little tiny religious museums up in this area, and none of them were able to sustain their little museum. And so somebody got a grand idea to build one museum and put all the artifacts and artwork from all these various religious museums into one place. And I hope I've got the story right. So one of the Rockefellers said, "Yeah, I'll get in on that." And the architect designed this museum, which is not like a building that was built. It's actually pieces of several different monasteries and cloisters that have been contributed from other countries. So you can see, just looking here, the different architectural styles. So now you can see that lighter stoned section is a different architectural style and uses different materials and has different window shapes from this part, which is different from that tower over there.
Wow.
So these are all different parts of monasteries and cloisters. He was looking at the layout and he says, "What's this? What's this thing here you have?" It says the tapestry room. I didn't know we had any tapestries. And his architect said, "Well, Mr. Rockefeller, I was hoping that I could talk you into donating your unicorn tapestries. You know, the ones in your living room and dining room, and put them into the museum."
Wow.
And indeed he did.
Wow.
And they're one of my favorite things in the museum.
Awesome.
But I love this. I love my neighborhood and I love this park and this museum.
I love it, and I'm so glad that you've shared it with me.
Sure.
So one of the things I wanted to ask Deb is, as Olga on Gotham for Mr. Penguin, and I wanted to ask you about that.
Yes, you may.
So, do you know a lot of the secrets?
No, I know nothing.
That's what Olga would say.
I know nothing to make hurt for Mr. Employer. No, would never tell.
Very loyal person here.
Yeah. I got an MFA in acting, and it was a very intense program. It's a 2-year program through Florida State down to the Oslo Theater.
And they have a great reputation.
Yes, they do. So in order to get a degree, you had to create and perform a one-person show. And I was going to do a show about an actress in the American theater named Laurette Taylor. And my advisor, who is an actress, said, "Oh, for God's sakes, play someone your own age." I said, who am I going to do? I was actually thinking about Sophie Tucker.
Oh.
I was thinking about Sophie Tucker, but everything I could find was so sanitized. This was pre-Google, kids. And so I couldn't find the dirty stuff. And she said, "Well, do someone your own age, like, Janis Joplin or somebody." That sounds good. And that's who I ended up doing my show. Yeah.
I got to play Janis Joplin off Broadway in Hell's Bells. So we are two
Oh,
Janices.
cool. There you are.
Two Janices rocking and rolling right here.
Yeah.
I had an absolutely lovely time walking through Fort Tryon Park with Deborah Unger, and I would head back to the Cloisters anytime. If there's anywhere else you'd like to see in New York City, drop me a line at lauralovesnewyork2@gmail.com.